Hi everybody, so the next thing that we need to look at is these terms nominal and real. When you're looking at a lot of data to do with GDP or to do with incomes, as two examples, very often you can see nominal figures and real figures, and we need to know the difference between the two, and you might need to explain those in the exam. And if you want to look at all of the output in an economy, for instance, GDP, you don't want to be tricked by whether you're looking at nominal or real figures. So the difference between these two, it's actually helpful to look at the words. Nom in French, nom means name, and nominal means in name only. Not real. And this I always think as well, it's just like, this is the number. It's just a number on its own, but actually it's not giving the full picture. Whereas real, this is what's really happening. And this is taking away the effect of inflation. So it's removing the effect of inflation, which might be distorting your figures. And remember that inflation is a sustained increase in the average price level. So remember, in macroeconomics, we look at the average price level, and that's on average the price of the things within that economy. So on average is the price of things going up or down. And if we have a sustained, so it lasts, increase in the average price level, we have inflation. And real is taking away this effect of inflation. So if we want to look at, for instance, GDP or income, we need to know, are we looking at nominal figures or real figures? And the problem with nominal figures is that the inflation effect might be distorting what we think is going on. So you can see an example here. Your question is, you look at this information here, what happened to UK output of dice, imagine that's all they make, from 2001 to 2002. So before I carry on, if you pause the video, you can try and work out, just using this information here, what happened to UK output from 2001 to 2002. So now, looking at what's happened here to the output, we can see that from 2001 to 2, we were making 2 dice in this year, and in this year we also made 2 dice. So actually there is no change in how much was actually being made. So the real output is actually the same. You were making 2 then, you're making 2 then. However, if you were presented with nominal data, it would be more confusing because it tells you that the price of one wooden die in 2001 was £10 and we were making 2 of them. So the total value of those dice would have been 10 times 2, which was £20. In 2002, one wooden dice was worth £15 and they made 2. So this one needed to be 15 times 2, which says £30. So this is what's happened to our nominal GDP, if we're saying that everything that they're outputting, all of their output is just dice. The nominal GDP has gone up from £20 to £30. So if someone presented you with these figures, you'd think, oh, they've made a lot more dice in 2002 than 2001. However, that's misleading. The reason that the GDP, the nominal GDP, has gone up is because now the price of one dice has gone up. If you take away the effect of the inflation, the increase in price of dice, you see that actually they were making 2 dice then, and in that year they also made 2 dice. So actually the real output was exactly the same. There was no change. So this is a very simple example of how if you find the real output, you're taking away the effect of inflation and seeing what really happened. rather than just looking at the number, which includes the price here. So we can look at one more table here. This is different data, and this shows your nominal output from 2010 to 11, and that went up from 400 to 580. And your real output also increased, but actually that only went from 400 to 410. And we can see, looking at this data, if you work out the difference from going from 400 to 580, to work out the change, it's 580 divided by 400, and that equals 1.45. That's actually what's happened here. That's been multiplied by 1.45 to get that. So it's 1.45 times what that is. But when we look at the real output, going from 400 to 410, again, you do 410 divided by 400, and that gives us 1.025. So this has been multiplied by 1.025. This is a much bigger increase than this. And this shows us that our real output hasn't gone up by very much. It's only gone from 400 to 410. The nominal output's gone up by quite a lot, from 400 to 580. But the reason for this is because of inflation. So, caused by inflation. Shorthand for inflation is a P, little p, with a dot over it. So this increase has largely been caused by inflation. If we want the real output change, remember, we are taking away the effect of the inflation. And we can see that actually output only increased slightly by multiplied by 1.025. And this shows us that between 2010 and 2011, there was definitely inflation, quite significantly, because if you include the inflation, you multiply by 1.45. If you don't include the inflation, you only multiply by 1.025.